Do you miss the friendship you had with Rory and Mal?
The friendship? Yeah, I miss the friendship that we had when it was good. But the reality is it stopped being good. It stopped being good before the friendship ended. That's the part that people just don't know. Even when I watch back some of those clips, like it's tough. I wasn't experienced enough to deal with behavior from friends that I was getting at that point, nor was I mature enough to know when friends were having these issues with me and suppressing the feelings, right? Suppressing the emotion. Any friendship at its greatest, at its best, when it's healthy, when the sun is shining, cool, but that's not how I gauge mine. Like I gauge mine with how we weather the storm, how we communicate and get through whatever it is that we're going through. And we just, as a collective, didn't have the skill set to do so.
Is there a world where the current Bionic 6 is joined by Rory and Mal to make the enormous 8?
Joined by no. I know that there's this working theory out there that all the people that don't work with Joe don't want to work with Joe. And maybe that's true. But what's never acknowledged is Joe done working with these people? I just feel like there's too many people that have used my good work ethic and my turbulent learning experiences to kind of come up and then stab me. And that's only my version. That's only my version of things. There's too many times where people come around, and please, I'm not even talking about Rory Mal, I'm opening this up. There's too many times where people come around and I use all of my brain power to build them up as a brand and business, and then they turn around and negotiate that against me. No. Like I told somebody on the cast recently, I feel like this thing should be a blessing and a beam of light to anybody who steps into it. It should do nothing but help. It's not meant to hinder. It's not meant to harm. It's not meant to. So if that's your experience here and that's what you're going through, I just let you go. Like you can walk out that door and we can get rid of any contract. There'll be no repercussions from that. Yeah, this is about, I want volunteers, not victims.
Favorite memory with the old podcast members?
Would just be some of the pods. And those moments were not planned, right? So like we in the middle of all this hip hop beef land now, but when we were on air back then and the Pusha T shit dropped while we were recording, classic moment. Our Pusha T interview and just how we scrambled to get nimble and make that happen, classic. We just had a lot of classic on-air pod moments that I don't think will ever be replicated. That on-air chemistry when things were great, how in tune everyone was with the pulse of the music business. That will never be replicated. And I mean, that time in podcasting, right before the big boom, we'll never be there again either. So I think that whole era should be laminated, fucking encapsulated, and just in a shrine somewhere. That's how I feel about it.
Do you miss podcasting in Parks' basement?
No, not at all.
Good.
Nothing about it at all. Well, I do miss Rem coming down and sitting there sometimes, but outside of Rem, hell no.
Put these names in order from best at their craft to worst. Jameson, Danny from The Stop, or Juicy Ja?
Jameson, Danny, or Juicy?
Yes.
I don't want to rank any of them from best to worst, but further along in what they're trying to accomplish, I guess, would be Danny. I'm going to say Juicy just cause. And then I'll put Jameson last. But shout out to anybody that is a content creator that is on YouTube just trying to expand and get their business popping. I tip my hat to everybody.
In hip hop, tardiness is common. Why are you always on time to all your commitments?
Because that's important, right? And I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be judged against a hip hop scope. Like my mom used to fucking get on me for getting a C. And I would say, hey, but these people got a D. And she'd be like, you're not, what does that mean? Like, you don't want to go through life comparing yourself to the worst person. And I don't like disrespecting people's time, and I don't like when it's done to me. Early is on time and on time is late. That's how I look at it. So I'm coming early so I could get my mind in the right place to do whatever it is I need to do. And time is our most precious commodity, right? Like, so I don't want to get to the end of the week and feel like I just wasted X amount of time sitting around, not being prepared, not being ready to do what I'm supposed to do. It's important to me.
My follow-up to that is, what runs through your mind when one of the podcast co-hosts show up late?
Oh my God, you don't want to know. Utter disrespect. I'm totally offended. Steam and smoke coming from my head. What these guys don't know is how they perform on the pod tells me how they're performing off the pod. That's what it is. How people's skin look, how people's eyes look, how people dress. Are you well groomed? Are you ironed? I get 2 haircuts on Thursdays. And that's outside of my haircut on Monday. Like, my entire week is preparation for how I show up, how I sit down, how I look here, what I'm thinking about saying. Sometimes we go in here and write these topics down, and that'll be some of these people's first time seeing the topic on the board. And now you're getting a quick 5 to 10 minute rundown of what these things are. That's not how this goes. It don't work like that. Like, I'll think of a topic, write it down, and stare at it all week, because I know that writing something down and looking at it is what helps your brain to see what you think about this. And I'm clear that I'm a psycho with some of this stuff. I'm clear that those are some of the things that make me me. So I don't walk around expecting it of other people today. But people that do this can tell when you're not doing it.